Well, good evening, YouTube world. It is January 30th at 4:52, almost 5 p.m. Sun is setting. It is about 45 degrees out, which for us Southerners down here on the Florida border, that is cold. My name is Larry. On my 2009 Ultra Classic. Got these cars come by. Gosh darn it. The 2009 Ultra Classics. And this is the Ramblings of Larry. I am out and just screwing off this afternoon. Probably only be riding for about 15-20 minutes just to get the oil and stuff going in the bike again. It's probably been about 3 weeks since I rode. I did a video about 2 weeks ago, right after the first of the year. Hard to believe January is almost over with. Tomorrow is last day, I guess. So with that is, I think the battery died. Battery died or the tape pulled up. I hope this guy don't turn down the road. I don't want to turn down. I don't want to follow this big guy. If it is, I'm going to go a different direction. He is, so I'm going to go a different direction. We'll go into Florida for a little bit. That's usually my normal route. Just make a right or left and run around a little bit, but we'll go south. I'm in Lake Park, Georgia, and I'll show you how close Florida is. So what's everybody been up to? I've been watching a lot of your channels. I see Mike Haley 7, you're doing good. He's back to riding. I think I seen at the end of a video the other day where he was getting off of the cane. He busted his knee on a road trip and busted his knee up. I don't think he actually broke anything, but that's one of my fears. So, Mike, I'm glad you're doing better. Robin, the lady biker, she's doing good. She's fixing to move to Australia, so we hoping and praying for the best there. Oh shoot, I'm trying to think of the name. I can't think of names when I'm driving down the road, but I got a whole list of you people I watch. I've been out with bad. They said I didn't have COVID, but by God, it sure felt like crap. For about a week and a half, I missed pretty much all last week of work. I didn't preach on Sunday. As you probably tell, my voice is still a little messed up. So there on that. So, but I feel pretty good today. My leg, for those who follow me up, my leg's getting a lot better. Physical therapy, a lot more exercise. Just try to do physical therapy, exercise, and making sure I'm well hydrated. I think I drink a lot of sodas, and I know diet sodas on top of it, and I should not. Okay, I'm going to set cruise control. This is, I'm on US 41. If any of you travel to Bike Week down in Daytona, you're either going two ways. You're either going down I-75, and then I'm not too far from exit 5 or exit 2. I'm kind of in the middle. Or you get off 75, you're going back roads, you're going down 41, and the 41 runs right by my house, about 2 roads from my house. And this is 41 south right now. Florida will be here in just a minute. I'm going to run to Jennings and back. I forgot my phone. Isn't it amazing? It used to be in the old days of hell. We didn't need a phone. But I can't go 20 minutes without that stupid thing anymore. So Larry, 68. Larry, 68. I think he's in Virginia. He put a challenge out there. So this is the challenge. Put something on controversial. We'll talk about something controversial, which we all don't, for good reasons. I'm a ham, this is going to run into my other story in a minute. I'm a ham radio operator. If you know what ham radio or amateur radio, I've been one since 1976. Original call KA0FEV. Went to Alaska, upgraded to NL7NS. Upgraded again, so now it's AL7. That was NL7NY, excuse me. Nancy Lima 7, New York. Now it is Alpha Lima 7, AL7 MS, Nancy Sierra. And so in ham radio, a lot of times you talk to other countries that are kind of on the prohibit list, or I would say restricted list, if you will. And the ham radio thing is you can talk about the weather, your equipment setup, but you avoid controversial subjects. You avoid controversial subjects. If your country is at odds with that other country, like ours, a lot of times when I was on the radio with Russia, we limited the amount of time we talked to what we talked about. We talked about our equipment and stuff. And so I think YouTube's much the same way, is we try to keep it kind of neutral so we don't be ticking people off. Well, I'm not sure if I got a good controversial subject, but as a ham radio operator in 2 different counties, I was the volunteer emergency coordinator, a VEC they called it, volunteer emergency coordinator. I worked with the county coordinator in case if the regular communications go down, then we can provide emergency communications. We did shelters down here in the south. We had forest fires. In Florida, one time we activated a couple shelters, and we were the ones there, so we're not keeping up the time of traffic. I'll explain how, unless somebody else wants, how cell phones work through the internet and how our government can dial them down or turn them off. That's a lot of times when you're in an area with a natural disaster, all lines are busy. They've turned the cell service off for your level of phone. The higher you're up in the government, the higher the phone you have. All of our police and fire, most places have what they call the trunking system, which is digital. It's a digital voice, actually. And it all goes through the cell phone towers. It's no different than the cell phone towers. And so that's a high priority. So all of this got to compete for bandwidth. But I'm not your technical guy. I'm going to give the generals what I know. If somebody knows more about it, please chime in. But so as emergency coordinator, one of my things was I used to go around and brief people on, hold on a minute. I need everybody right now. Inhale, hold it. Exhale. You breathed in Georgia and you exhaled in Florida. Welcome to Florida, people. That's how close I am to Florida. I'm 4 miles from the border. So on that deal is, then the air smells different. I'm not sure if that's good or bad, but I always tell people it smells different down here. But so on that deal, so my job as emergency coordinator was to help maintain emergency communications during times of distress. Just go through a lot of training. And I used to, because I like teaching and things, I used to teach some of the community courses, if you will. And one of the things, we had a couple of hurricanes come through. And so one of the things that I taught about was prepping, which seems to be a hot topic today again. Now that's my controversial subject, is how prepared are you for a disaster? Whether it's Mother Nature or it's man-made. How prepared are you for a disaster? The government used to have a thing out, depending on the area you live in. Like here, we're subject to hurricanes, tornadoes, sometimes a lot of rain for days and days, but where I live, flooding's not really an issue. But so on that, we're prepared for, slow down. Ooh, I think I must be speeding way too much. 35. This is Jennings, Florida, by the way. Probably move not too far down here and turn around and go back. But so they tell us to be prepared. You're supposed to have 3 days of medicine, 3 days of water per person, 3 days of food that you can eat without cooking it in a stove, without power, if you don't have a way to generate power in your house. 3 days. When I was in Idaho, I was, again, an emergency coordinator, but I lived in Mountain Home, Idaho, and so we'd go to Boise. And so my wife, she was from Jacksonville, Florida, city girl. I brought her to Idaho, she about died. I mean, there's nothing. There's miles of nothing. Man, I loved it too. I just loved it. And so with that in mind, she, and I married, she had 2 small kids when I married her. And so I always kept clothes and emergency equipment in the trunk. I had a big duffel bag of emergency gear, covers, candles, hand warmers, different things. I had different things in there to, just in case, because it was 60 miles from the town of Mountain Home to Boise. It was 10 miles from Mountain Home Air Force Base to Mountain Home. Well, you're in the winter, very few cars are traveling those roads, and you hit a piece of black ice up and slide off the road. You may be sitting there. That was the early days before cell towers. You may be sitting there for a couple hours, many hours, waiting for help. So you need to have food, water, if it's wintertime, way to heat up the car. Idaho, good thing about Idaho was dry heat, so summertime you're okay. And I swapped out the bags and clothes and shoes. There's a dead deer on the road. I swapped that stuff out as needed. So when I moved to Texas, we have a Tornado Alley. I was in Wichita Falls, Texas. And there, I did have a bag I put in the car in case you were caught in a tornado while you were driving, or a severe thunderstorm while you were driving. That guy's in a bigger hurry than I am. And so we did that. So my wife would always like, I can't believe you carry that stuff. I mean, we never needed it, praise the Lord. Now, I had another bag in the house. We had a tornado room. I kept stuff in the tornado room. My wife and my daughters were gone, but her stepson and me were there, and we needed that one time. A tornado took off part of the roof and uprooted a tree. Wasn't too bad of a situation, but it was definitely scary enough. I used to be a storm chaser, too, and I got some neat stories about chasing tornadoes. So we come to Georgia. So here I'm in Georgia. I'm part of this emergency communication thing. And we had a tropical storm come through. Tropical Storm Faye. Faye was like one of the longest living tropical storms that lived in the area for a really long time. And we come across from the east coast, west, across the Florida-Georgia border. Oh, I want to turn here. Okay. I'm going to turn around real quick. I need to run by the church, so it's just a nice, big, wide turn. I'm going to go down that road one day and see where it goes. Okay, there we go. Alright. Okay, so this thing goes through and it does some damage. It knocks power out for several days. And so I'm at the 911 center. The number of calls that come in, because people had nothing. I mean nothing. After day one, after the storm was done, they had nothing. They had to have food. They're calling because they don't have food. They're calling. We had to set up a non-emergency number, and we kind of, as emergency coordinators, kind of handled that. And we work with some churches taking Meals on Wheels to people. But the government says, and they used to say 3 days, and it depends where you live. If you live way out in the country, you better have about 10 days. Like I live next, not too far, so they recommend 6 days now. If you're in a really big populated area, let's say like New York or something, you probably need more too, because the more people, it's a priority system. Those who are hurt, those who are sick, it's a priority system. So my question is, how prepared are you? I listen to prepping videos. I don't work with emergency communication stuff anymore. I'm ready if I have to. I do, but I'm not the coordinator. I'm not the guy in charge anymore. But so on that deal is, I went to Arapahoe. We keep on going here. I was up in Arapahoe in a church. And we had a major hurricane come through. Thank goodness that we were 60 miles from Valdosta, about 100 miles from the coast. Here we're pretty close to the coast. So it was a lot worse where we were at. But because we live in Arapahoe, which is a little podunk town, we were without power for about 2 days. Within this process, I bought a generator, and it had about 20 gallons of gas. And you could run about 40 miles away and fill up with gas. And so at least that was good news. So I ran a generator 24/7. My wife would freak out. I would never turn the generator off. I just opened the lid, start pouring gas in it. We did that with airplanes, called it hot pit. Okay, here's Jennings again, people. But so, on that is, with the world events the way they are, let's stop about man-made. So I've always, I guess back up a minute here, I've always kept 3, 4, 5 days of medicine. I keep a stock of, Advil, Motrin, aspirin, and those things. General medicine. I got 2 trauma kits, a couple first aid kits, and so, but it just amazes me how many people aren't prepared. So when the civil unrest and all that stuff happened last year, and it continues on, it's not in the news, but Canada, the truckers are rioting because of the COVID. The C shot, I don't want to say anything's going to get me in trouble. I'm not for it or against it. I'm not going to mention whether I got it or not. I'm just saying about the C shot, the jab, I guess they call it. That's going on in our country. If you watch the world news, get on something besides CNN or Fox News. I watch an Australian channel. I watch an Israeli channel. Watch the neutral channels that give news about America and the West, our part of the world. There's a lot of civil unrest. There's a lot of civil unrest all throughout the world right now. Many people worry about in our country a civil war. And I'm telling you what, people, I promise you, we do not want any kind of civil war or anything like that. Excuse me. I have been to those countries in the military. You do not want that kind of crap in our country. We need to work it out. I can't believe we just can't. We're a bunch of people. It's a government. Have you ever been to a third world country or to a country where there's a lot of tension between the two countries? It's not even the military. It's a few dignitaries. Screwing around, and of course the military gets drug in. But I promise you right now, in Ukraine and Russia, there's people on the Ukraine side, there's people on the Russia side praying that they don't go to war with each other. I promise you, they really don't want to fight nobody. Most of them are forced to be in the military, at least for a couple of years, and it pays. When you gotta have a job, it pays the bills. They love their country. Obviously, they love their country, but man, I was lucky. My time, man, we never really went to war with anybody. Yeah, we had the Desert Storm. That's a whole other story. But back up. I'm going to be close to where I'm going to be at in a minute. Where I need to be. How prepared are you? Some of my friends that we kind of play this role play game. Call up right now. There's an earthquake, a tornado, a terrorist attack. Come up with a scenario, and so you got to, where you're sitting or wherever you're at, what is your next steps? How are you getting home? Let's say that we'll say the communication lines are down, you can't call. You have emergency radios. What's your next step to get you and your loved ones in the same spot again? Then what's the next step, depending on the scenario, that you're going to feed your family and you're going to protect your family? Are you bugging in or are you bugging out? Do you need to get in and get out. And that depends on the scenario. If there was a dirty bomb, you might have to leave your area, evacuate for a while, or a flood, a dam broke, or depends where you live with whatever the conditions is. Rock slides if you're in the mountains, flooding if you're by the river or the water. You got to do it. You got to do it now. Think about those people in Hawaii 2 or 3 years ago. Spain, La Palma. They got the call one day the volcano's going off, lava's running down the mountain. You got 15 minutes to get everything out of your house so you can get and leave when your house is leveled by lava. So what is an emergency scenario? Is there rioting? You live in a city where rioting may happen? So what's that? So here's my controversial subject. Not really controversial. How prepared are you? Right now, it's 5/13, January 29th, at your location. What is the worst, what is the primary event that could happen? I hear, of course not this time of year, it would be a hurricane. I guess this time of year might be a tornado. In California, you live out west, with an earthquake. Excuse me, a 9.0 earthquake. 9.0 earthquake. Texas, if you live on the border, it's tsunami. If you live interior, rioting. Let's say you live in a big city, rioting. Let's say we went to war in the bomb attack. I better not say that too many times on my YouTube channel. But what is a scenario? What is a scenario that you would have to be prepared for, and how prepared are you? Do you have first aid equipment? Do you have food? You got water. Water is the most essential thing there. You got a way to protect you and your family, however you decide to do that. Okay, I got my mics on. Must be a cop up ahead. This is, I'm only doing 50 miles an hour, so we'll just lock it in here in case there's popo ahead. So there we go. Leave me comments, do another video. What steps are you taking to protect yourself and your family, to feed yourselves and your family for 3 to 10 days? We'll go for 3 to 10 days. If it's more than 10 days, crap has really hit the fan. So, all right, people, be blessed. All you that are doing things, ride safe, ride your own ride. I've heard all these comments before. Do what you need to do to have fun. To have fun and enjoy the day. Because today is the day, and it may not be tomorrow for all the other reasons I just mentioned. So enjoy.